So a Jewish guy and a Chinese guy are sitting in a bar. Out of nowhere, the Jewish guy punches the Chinese guy in the face. And the Chinese guy says, "Hey, what the heck was that for?" Jewish guy says, "That was for Pearl Harbor." Chinese guy says, "Hey, I'm Chinese, I'm not Japanese." Jewish guy says, "Same difference." Then the Chinese guy punches the Jewish guy in the face. And the Jewish guy is like, "Hey, what the hell was that for?" And Chinese guy says, "Oh, that was for sinking the Titanic." Jewish guy says, "The Titanic was sunk by an iceberg." Chinese guy goes, "Iceberg, Goldberg, same difference." You know, guys, think about this Whoopi Goldberg situation. And I was talking to my friend the Frime today about this. We kind of got into a little bit of a, I don't want to say heated, but quite rousing discussion about the idea of race and the idea of who are the Jewish people, you know? So you guys probably heard Whoopi Goldberg basically said that the Holocaust was not about race, and that why was it not about race? Because it was basically one group of white people attacking another group of white people. A lot of people got upset about that. And there's, two things to address, or two components, maybe even more than two, this whole thing. First of all, guys, you have to understand that, and to be honest with you, I'm not upset at Whoopi Goldberg for this. I'll tell you why. Most Americans, I'll tell you who I'm upset at, by the way, but it's not Whoopi Goldberg. Most Americans have been conditioned to view the Jewish people and Jewishness through the lens of whiteness, meaning they see that, first of all, that the Jews in this country, in America, have reached the strata, the same strata as white people, whereas before they weren't allowed to go here, they weren't allowed to go there. They basically accomplished what, WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, and even Catholics have accomplished, right? Not only that, guys, most of the Jews, up until very, very recently in America, have been Jews from Eastern Europe and Central Europe, right? Ashkenazi Jews. Sorry, I just want to sneeze. Oh, excuse me. So people have gotten into their heads that, any Jew they see on the street or even in Hollywood, right? Most of the Jews, for example, that they see in Hollywood is just a regular white guy. And the Jews themselves identify as white, right? You don't have, like if, for example, I was just telling Ephraim, if I come up to Whoopi Goldberg and I show her, Dudu Biton, the Moroccan arse from Israel, or, I don't know, no offense to any Moroccans here, but, or any Sephardic person, or even a Yemenite Jew, she's going to say, well, this person is, her first thought is not going to be that this person is Jewish, right? She's going to think that this guy is like an Arab or some kind of North African, or if you tell her that he's Jewish, she's going to say, oh, you see, he's the real Jew, and those guys are the imposters. They're like the, the Khazarians, right? This is the classical thing that you hear. That's one aspect of this. Guys, another aspect of this is, I'll tell you guys something, and this might be a little bit controversial. The Holocaust was not so much about race as it was about a spiritual aspect and nationhood, right? Here you had these people called Germans. Hitler, when he used to talk, he used to say things like, the Jews brought to the world two things. The conscience, which is also a blemish, just like circumcision. So there's two blemishes they brought to the world, the conscience and the circumcision. Guys, I don't know about you, but that doesn't seem like racist language to me. It seems like a philosophical aspersion, if anything. You know, it's a person who has a problem with an ideology or a philosophy on life that somebody else is bringing, or a group of people that are bringing. But it's not a hatred of someone just for the sake of, because of who they, you know, just for no reason. He had a lot of reasons, guys, and he brought them. You could say that those reasons are, you know, in your eyes, invalid, or they're not true, whatever it is. But they were reasons that he brought. Some of them are actually the reasons that I just said. I mean, these are factual things. It doesn't mean that what we brought to the world is bad. It wasn't. It's not. But these are factual things. We brought the conscience, and I mean, we were given the mitzvah of circumcision. And we were also given kind of the mitzvah, or just mitzvot, which basically is an implication that you have to have a conscience. You have to live your life consciously. Mitzvot are imploring you to do that, right? So by extension, we took those mitzvot and we brought what it is that we do to the world by example. Therefore, we brought the idea of conscience to the world, as opposed to Sodom, right? What you see with Sodom, you see today, there is no conscience. People do whatever you want, live however you want, marry whoever you want, and, you know, whatever, blah. So, my friends, if you analyze it really wasn't about so much race per se, right? It was, and Hitler used to even say, the things that he would say was, you know, there's the German and there's the Jew, both cannot exist. I'm just paraphrasing. They cannot exist in the same realm, in the same planet. It's either us or them. That's what he used to say. Right? What does that mean? That means it's not a question of race. It's a question of, I guess you want to call it power, but not only power, but again, these are civilizations. These are ideas, primarily ideas, guys. The Nazis had their own ideas. They had their own ideology. They wanted to remove the world from the shackles of this conscience, of this shame, right? They wanted man to be, their idea of man being free was just being free of all responsibility, of moral. There was no such thing as morals, right? Hitler used to say, there's no such thing as morals. It's a human invention, morals. What is this morals? Just like this guy, Yuval Noah Harari, says that all these things, whether it's religion or this or that and the other, these are constructs of our imagination, of human imagination, right? Even God is a construct of our imagination. You know, it's interesting he says that, because it's like the other side of the coin of what the Kotzker Rebbe used to say, you know, God is there where you let him in, right? It doesn't mean that God is not real if you don't let him in. He's still there. He's just not here. And he's still here. And yet he's not here if you don't let him in. But he's there. He's everywhere, right? But not everywhere. He is everything. Ein od milado. But he's also there where you let him in. So he's kind of your imagination, but he's not really, because he's there. And on the flip side, Yuval Noah Harari is saying God is a figment of, you know, construct of our imagination, just like everything else is, just like morals. So it's kind of a similar thing to what Hitler used to say, to what this Yuval guy is saying today, that there is no such thing as morals. It's just constructed by, namely, the Jews, right? Guys, this was an ideological, philosophical, not just machloket, not just dispute, but he really had a problem with our existence because of these things. It wasn't just like, oh, these guys are hook-nosed and this and that and the other and whatever. Something deeper than that, guys. So, in some sense, I mean, Whoopi's saying stuff off the cuff, kind of from the seat of her pants, but in some sense, she's kind of right. But you guys have to understand, it's very unfortunate what's happened over the years here in America, where, and again, this is an argument I got into a semantics kind of argument with my friend Ephraim, because he was trying to tell me, well, listen, I mean, the people that you see, the Europeans today, actually migrated originally from the Middle East. Okay, you can say that, but at the end of the day, and this is where we got into a discussion of culture and all these other things, I was born in Ukraine, right? But do I consider myself Ukrainian? No. Do I consider myself Eastern European? No. Do I consider myself European? No. Do I consider myself white? No. Do I consider myself Middle Eastern? Yes. Yeah, guys, I mean, I'm not a white person. My personal thing, if you want to go into like, preferences and style, is I'm not such a fan of a lot of what Ashkenazi Jewish culture has to offer. Certain things I am, other things I'm not. My friend is saying it was a spiritual war between darkness and light, just like today. Of course, yeah, what some people don't understand. Everything to them is about race. Even when you bring up the comparisons today between what's happening today and what happened, back then. First of all, people don't even understand when you're talking about today that you're not talking about camps. You're talking about, as I said, the late 20s and all of the 30s, the things that lead up to camps. By the time you get to camps, you have no idea how you got there. Right? Guys, I mean, okay? Another thing they don't understand is, yeah, just like today, back then, it was a war between light and darkness. That's precisely what it was. My friend, yeah, darkness hates what light brings. Of course, that's what it was. That's exactly what it was. It wasn't a race per se, because not only did they take Jews, they took gypsies, the Roma people, they took homosexuals, they took other people. Guys, I mean, again, it wasn't... Guys, I'll just end off on this. The other aspect of this that I'm noticing, and I'm noticing a lot of people on Twitter commenting, and also on my friends on Facebook, they've been saying, Whoopi Goldberg got, what is it called? 2 week suspension from The View. And they've been saying that, ostensibly she said worse, if not as bad as what Roseanne Barr said. When she was hopped up on drugs and she actually was talking about not race, she was talking about a person's bone structure. Whatever. Won't go there. But the point is, Roseanne was canceled forever. She was literally crucified on a cross. She's a Jew, okay? Versus what happened to Whoopi, which is 2 weeks slap on the wrist, okay? So a lot of people are saying that Roseanne should come back and replace Whoopi Goldberg, which to me is the funniest part. Excuse me. It's the funniest part of this entire discussion, I think. It's really, really funny. But it's interesting, guys. I find it very interesting that a person, one person said something and was banned forever, and a person like Whoopi Goldberg, and it's funny because they are both, I guess you can call them female comedians par excellence. They were both kind of came around at the same time. Both came up, basically set the tone for female comedians. They were the two main ones that I can remember. Whoopi Goldberg won a Best Supporting Actress in Ghost in I think it was the late 80s when I was a kid. And Roseanne had basically the #1 sitcom when the Cosby Show ended. Speaking of African Americans, Cosby Show ended and Roseanne had the #1 sitcom in America for I don't know how many years, 7 or 8 years. And, she really appealed to the regular person. And guys, I mean, it's just sad how she gets canceled and you have Whoopi Goldberg who gets 2 weeks. Again, they essentially were both misinterpreted, I think. Roseanne was heavily misinterpreted in what she said. And actually, Whoopi was also misinterpreted for what she said. Frankly, I don't think what she said was anti-Semitic. It may have been poor choice of words. She may not have explained it correctly, but I don't think it was anti-Semitic, guys. I don't. You can call me the names you want. You can come after me. You can cancel me. You cannot watch me anymore. But I don't think what she said was anti-Semitic. Because again, it wasn't so much about race. It was more about ideology, philosophy, worldview. Hitler understood that. All of his people understood that. That's exactly what it was about. If it was just race, it would have been only the Jews, but it wasn't. Clearly, it was the Roma. It was disabled people. It was homosexuals. If they could have done this to blacks, they would have done this to blacks, right? But they couldn't. So yeah, guys, it was an ideology. They wanted to create the Ubermensch, and Jews didn't fit into that. Roma didn't fit into that. Homosexuals didn't fit into that. Crippled people didn't fit into that. And they were doing medical experiments, by the way. So, guys, it goes way deeper than race. It goes way, way deeper than race. But with that said, the Jewish people ain't white, guys. We have to get off of this whole thing of like identifying ourselves as white, identifying ourselves as Woody Allen, Larry David. There's an entire diversity in our nation, guys. There's an entire diversity, and we have to get educated about it. The first step is travel to Israel. And, it's a start. Anyway, guys, that's all I have to say about that. And Laila Tov.